So, uh, actually, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's very late in the night. However, I'm a very good student and I'm completing my assignment like late hours in the night. Um, Let me first outline the agenda for this video. This video summarizes the Coursera mobile and cloud computing capstone project. I've chosen the symptoms management task, uh, and I would like to present it in the way that first I will show you the documentation that I initially prepared and relate to my initial plans, uh, because obviously the reality um, changed them slightly. Then I will show you my excellent backend, which I have prepared uh, for much more general case than the symptoms management scenario only. It's very generic backend supporting probably a general application of the symptoms management sort. And finally, I will show you the front end, the most time consuming part, and the front end will be actually the third video. I'm going to present the document, backend and front end in 3 separate videos. I will provide references to them separately on Coursera, and I will also mount them all together so that they can be viewed as a single video. I will also make them downloadable through the internet from my very cheap VPS I have purchased for the purpose of this project. So, first of all, the document. I have prepared a document, as you can see here on the screen, which in fact focus mostly on the presentation of mocks, visual design elements of the front-end application. It didn't focus that much, or it didn't describe that much the construction of the front-end, neither the construction of the back-end. Well, I have some experience with software design, and as to the back-end, I focused more on the data model, which I consider fundamental for the entire application, and I tried to make the data model right rather than to describe structural components of data flows through the backend application, or rather than the construction of the front-end application itself. So, well, first of all, my initial plan was to make the application as beautiful as possible and as rich in nice Android components as possible. I wanted to make it as production ready as possible. Obviously, the time constraints did not allow me to deliver as much as I have originally planned. However, I have realized actually all of the requirements. There are really tiny gaps that might be missing from my final solution. Moreover, I have delivered much more than I could have in order to pass the assignment. I have prepared a complete application written for the new Android 5 Lollipop. It uses primarily the new components like a toolbar from the support library version 7 and additional components from the same new library. So My initial idea was first to present the reminders, alarms to the user in the lock screen. Well, this part was optional and it wasn't delivered. Well, I described in the text you have seen above my plans to conform to Google's new material design, and actually I have. The application is conformed mostly with the material design guidelines, what you will see in the third part of this introduction. Well, then user notifications, as you can see them, they are almost identical in the final solution to those I have prepared on the wireframe. Then the list of check-ins, it's also almost identical in the final solution to the one to the conceptual design. You can see on the screen the difference, the clear difference is that I haven't included search functionality for check-ins for the patient. It wasn't required, and the floating action button, which is part of new Android 5 design, is located in the lower right corner of the application and not on the border between the scrollable list of check-ins and the toolbar. Actually, it was quite a challenge to put it there, and I have skipped the idea. The list of the details of each check-in. Well, I have prepared a very nice and complicated screen. I've implemented much easier version of it, much more simple without sections, however containing all the details of the check-in itself. The drawer menu, well, it doesn't contain all the sections you can see here, only two of them, check-ins and prescriptions, in the final solution, but obviously can be filled with other options which are optional. The check-in itself, I have simplified it a lot. Here in my document on my wireframes, I have distinguished 3 sections for the check-in, each section containing a separate sort of questions. One section for medicines, the second section for one question, and the third for the second question. Well, actually I have included all the questions, medicine questions and additional questions in a single screen, on a single layout, because it's much easier both to implement and for the customer, for the patient to handle. The list of medicines, the list of prescriptions, as I call them, is also simplified. Well, it's actually not simplified in the final solution. It's different than presented on the screen. However, it is complete. Notification setup uses much more complicated time picker present in Android 5. The login screen is it doesn't contain the nice graphical symbol. However, it's almost identical to the one shown here. The final version features the server address as well. The pane notifications. Actually, I've created the system in the backend which computes notifications with a very high frequency. So I finally decided to put all those to repetitively poll the server for those notifications and present them in the list view in doctors section of the application. I decided not to trigger notifications, not to push notifications to the Android status bar, not to make them visible outside of the application because of their amount. List of patients is also very similar in the final solution. I decided not to include pictures of the users because I am already providing animated transitions between application sections, what corresponds to the advanced feature requirement of the application. So I'm presenting only icons in the place of people faces. However, the I haven't included creation of the patient in the final version. This is the piece of my initial plan that I didn't manage to deliver. The search functionality for patients. Patients can be searched by their name, and the solution is provided in the final implementation. It's a little simpler because I'm allowing to search only by the patient's name, and I'm not displaying check-ins in the search results. Only patients and full patients that are found from the list of patients. I allow the doctor to investigate check-ins corresponding to the patient. Well, the patient detail section is also very similar to the shown on this screen, without the editing options only. Patient's prescriptions are also quite similar to the one to what I'm showing on the current screen. Well, my initial plan was to allow doctors to fill the library of medicines, and in the final solution I resigned from the idea. I didn't manage to deliver this, and it's also optional, not included in the application requirements. There's a small list of medicines that I have typed into the database manually, which are served for the user. Check-ins on the doctor's screen are also very similar to what I'm showing here. This one, there are a few differences actually. I'm not using the graphical icons to represent the pain level or the ability to eat. However, I'm using colored text for the purpose, and of course, all the sections or all the doctor sections are present, are implemented using tabbed views, tabbed page views as on the concept with nicely animated transitions. And then graphical representation of patient check-ins. Well, I'm allowing the patient to the doctor to view patient check-ins. However, I'm not charting the results. Then the data model. The data model I have implemented in the final application is very similar to the shown on the screen. There are a few differences, but very small differences. I'm not going to describe this data model. I will attach this document to my final submission, so the reviewer can see and can investigate the data model itself on one's own. Moreover, as I will describe in the next section of this video, I have prepared written down DDL file pre-initializing the structure of the database. So the SQL file pre-initializing the database may be also investigated in order to familiarize with my model proposition. Please note that there are a lot of relations in my model. Medicines are related with patients in the relation many-to-many. Then again, questions with prescription in relation with many-to-many. Please note that prescription is in fact a central element of the data model I have proposed. Prescription is a piece of entity created by the doctor, which describes, which corresponds to he or she actually prescribes the patient in the form of medicines to be taken at certain times of day, and then all the notifications are related with prescriptions, analysis of outstanding check-ins for the day is also based on the analysis of check-ins and the relation to prescriptions assigned to the patient. So actually, well, there's a lot to it. I could describe each of the connections in details. However, I don't think it is necessary, and I will rather rely on the reviewer to see the DDL SQL file and comprehend all the intrinsics on one's own. Obviously, creation of such a complicated data model wasn't required. However, in this case, in the case of this data model, where arbitrary questions are assigned to the prescription, such a data model allows to build an arbitrary application which facilitates the communication between doctors and patients, and the application that allows the patient to respond to questions stated by the doctor. So with this data model, any applications featuring questions and answers asked to the patient can be built. Well, so that's pretty much it about the data model. Please note that the backend supports definitions of prescriptions, definitions of medicines, definition of questions and answers, editing of prescriptions per user, per patient, adding questions and answers to prescription already created for the patient. So the backend is very flexible, as I will present in the further video, allowing to not only fulfilling all the requirements stated for the application, but also allowing to as I said, build a general application of the sort of symptoms management. Well, here I'm describing tables and data types in more details. And finally, I've prepared my initial documentation or midterm documentation. I have prepared a component breakdown of the application. Actually, it turned to be twice as large as shown. There are many more controllers, many more repositories, many more services and facades. However, concepts presented on these diagram have been in their majority preserved and implemented in the final solution. As to the components of the front end, those presented have been preserved mostly. However, a lot more components, a lot more elements of the front end application have been added. So that's it as to my introduction of my initial concept, of the initial description and the idea for the application. Now let me continue with the next video, namely the presentation of the front and the back end application. Thank you very much.